There is a literal sea of new retro gaming handhelds for us to play with out there, and I've messed with quite a few of them, as you can see here. One of the more recent ones was the BittBoy version 3, which didn't really do it for me. I had some issues with it, even the previous version. No L&R buttons, one of the biggest things. Screen tearing, emulation issues. For me, it was not the answer to my gaming needs. But for some people, they don't mind the issues with this and could be a minor inconvenience for some. Some people might just not like it at all. For me, didn't really care for it. There's been a few other ones out there, like the LDK game that I like, the GPI case, which is probably my favorite so far. Definitely take a look at those if you haven't seen my videos on them. I have plenty of other little handhelds I haven't done content on that, hey, we might get into because I think some of this stuff is really neat. But today, we're taking a look at the new BittBoy. Finally got my hands on the PocketGo. So the PocketGo is supposed to solve at least one of the issues with the BittBoy version 3, and that's that it has L&R buttons now. Bringing it into the the new generation here, 2019. So here is the box. I did pre-order one of these. It was $35, I believe. The company did send this one out to me for purpose of review. So whenever the one that I ordered, which they sent this one to me well after they shipped the one that I ordered, so I have no clue where that one's at. But if that one ever shows up, I will be giving it away on my Twitter. So definitely follow me on Twitter. Keep an eye out for that. I will announce it in my YouTube community tab as well. Hopefully I'll be getting that soon and giving it away to you guys, regardless of what I feel about this thing. I will be giving that one away. So here's the box. Shows you that it's in the horizontal position. A little bit of information here. A little bit of the specs. Micro SD did come with an 8 gigabyte micro SD card. Full screen, original resolution display. Honestly, all of this, all the specs are exactly the same as the BittBoy version 3. So not a big deal on that. Don't really want to dwell on the specs, but this is what comes in the box. We get our BittBoy PocketGo, and underneath, we did get a little bag of goodies here. Some basic functions, little instruction manual, how to adjust volume. I was pretty sure it had a volume slider on there, but it's telling you to use the button combinations. How to play, insert the micro SD card that came in the package, turn on device, select the emulator, press B for the game list, use L&R to change the menu. Okay. I'm pretty sure they say it doesn't come with included games. Another thing I know people are going to bust my balls over, but mine that they sent me for review does have games on it. So can't say for sure if it does or doesn't, and I don't really care, but mine has them on there. It comes with a little USB micro SD card adapter. We'll never plug that in. No idea if it works or not, but they do give you one. You do get a cable for charging or possibly data transfer, and some extra buttons here. That's pretty cool. You get the Super Famicom European style colored buttons from the Super Nintendo. Definitely dig that, but I'm not going to open her up right now. So we'll set this stuff aside and check it out. So here she is. We do have a tempered glass screen on there. At least that's what they say anyway. That's the first time I took the little thingy off. My screen does have some smudges on it. That's all right. On the top here is where our micro SD card goes into. I'm not even sure what brand it was. It's a SanDisk. Don't know if it's a real SanDisk, but it's a SanDisk. 8 gigabyte SanDisk Edge. Hells yes. Got to kind of have a nail to get that thing in there, man. There we go. And we do have a AV out, headphone jack. Not sure if the AV out works. Doesn't come with the AV cables any longer, but I've heard with the firmware that these use doesn't support that. Can't say for sure, but it does look like ass if you can get it to play through composite. So, I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of this anyway. We have a reset button, and we do have our L&Rs. Hells yes. We have a power button on the side, speaker on the front, start and select, A, B, X, Y with that kind of smooth finish with the D-pad having a matte finish. Doesn't feel too bad. Not really complaining too much about the smooth, shiny buttons, but some people won't like them. They are a little slippery. And then on the side, we do have that volume slider where going up, increasing your volume is scrolling it down. Decreasing is scrolling up. I never like that, but I guess you just get used to it. That's the back of the thing. So let's go ahead and power this thing on. Now, the one issue, and we're just looking at the firmware that they shipped. I don't know if you can hear that. Tell me if you can hear that. Because when I first turned this on the other day, I could immediately hear that. It has like a faint buzzing noise. I don't know if that's just something wrong with mine or if that's how all of them are, but had to be pointed out. So let's try to get a little bit closer look here. So the L and R buttons, I don't know how they messed this up, but L goes right, R goes left. I kind of wish it went the other way. Would make a little more damn sense. You know what I'm saying? But here it is. So let's go through what we have. We do have some applications we can go into, which kind of pointless. Video player if you really want to mess with that on a low resolution screen. Oh yeah, left is right. We have our emulators. We have some included games, which everything I've tested plays. Doom and whatnot. Like, I don't know if the WAD files are included on the firmware they use, but everything on here works for me. Quake, Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, all that good stuff. And then what else do we have? Settings, our skin, about, and power. So there we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at, maybe we'll take a look at Doom. Where is it? There it is. So we have to select the WAD file. It loads up. You can decrease the brightness with select and X and A. Oh, and the B and Y with the select button decreases the volume. Or you could just use the slider. But let's check it out. There we go. It plays decently well, but you will see that screen tearing a little bit. This is extremely playable. I can't deny that. Especially some of these first-person shooters, you do have the L&R now to where certain games you can map things to make it a lot easier to play. Like this, we're strafing left and right. So that's pretty cool. A game like this with the screen tearing, I don't think it distracts too much for me. It's when we're playing those 2D games that it kind of really bothers me. And there's a reason that this does that, no matter what emulator, what game you're in. And that's because from what I've been reading, from what I've been hearing from people, is that the screen that they're using is the issue. It's not even the emulators necessarily. It's more so the screen being a 30 hertz screen where the games are trying to output, 60 frames per second, and the screen can't keep up. So we're losing frames. We're getting that weird tearing issue. And it does kind of drive some people nuts. For me, it is a bother, but for some people, they're not going to mind. So Link's Awakening, let's jump into that on the Game Boy. I do have the frames up there. Let me see something. We did select some options on this. Our scaler, I went to full screen fast. You can go to no scaling, bring it all the way down. 1.5 fast, 1.5 smooth. I don't really care for the smooth. It just does not look good. Controls, default has the A and B button backwards. Alternate fixes that. to where you can actually play the game, like a game like this, to where it makes sense. Like, you know, you have your A button for the A button. I have it as sword, and the B button for the shield. If you leave it the default, it's backwards. And you see this, the screen tearing in this is not as bad as it once was with the original firmwares that were being used on these things. It's still present, but overall, like on Game Boy, it's not extremely bad. But for some people, they're going to be fine with it. Some people are not. So just wanted to kind of try to demonstrate this a little bit. In a game like this, where the screens are stationary, you're only really seeing that when you're transitioning screens. So let's go ahead and exit out of that, try something else. So with this system, there's going to be certain consoles that you could play no problem, and some that are just going to extremely struggle. PlayStation 1's going to be one of them, where it's going to be really hit and miss. Game Boy Advance and Super Nintendo, the same thing. Game Boy Advance, I have been able to play a few games just fine. Let's check out Mario Advance 4. See how that looks. And the sound is not bad. It's a pretty loud speaker. The only thing is if there's nothing playing, I do get that little humming noise. So I don't know if that's just how all of them are, or if that's how mine is, but worth pointing out. Super Mario. Let's see how this looks. Buttons are remapped. Oh yeah, that screen tearing. You could see it on the blocks, like really bad. I'm sure you could see the waviness. For me, it's rather distracting. It's not running like extremely slow or anything. The sound is fine. But that screen tearing just, it's ugly, because I know some people are going to argue that, hey, this thing is a cheap little handheld. Like, you know, what more could you want? And I definitely understand the argument. It's a cheap device. But to me, there's no excuse, because there's tons of cheap devices out there that do the same thing and do it better. Let's find something here. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Why not? Let's see if that loads up. So I just want to test a few games here. Oh yeah, screen tearing out the ass. So I don't want to sit here and be a big Debbie Downer, you know, whatever the kids are saying these days. But for me, this is a no-go. For you, it might be fine. But me, I don't like it when I know there are better options out there. Let me get out of this. I'm kind of having a hard time seeing my screen anyway. Let's see, what else can we take a look at? But I have to be honest. I don't want to sit here and just praise these little handhelds for no reason. If they don't perform to my standards, then I have to let you guys know. Some people, they're going to be fine. I mean, but for me, I like the form factor. It feels really good. I've heard some people complain about light bleeding around the edge, and I'm not getting any of that. And actually, the screen is really good. Like, no matter how I turn it, other than my glare, I'm not getting where the screen just dims off to where I can't see it. So the viewing angle is really good. Just that tearing and frame skipping, the frame dropping is pretty horrible. What else can I say about this thing? See, this game is playing okay. It's definitely not 100%, but it's playing okay. Let's take a look at Castlevania. But the D-pad responds fairly well. The buttons feel okay, other than they are a little slippery. The screen. Wow, there's actually some nice heat coming off of this part of the screen where my thumb is. I guess the processor is probably close to there because it is hot as hell. This side is cool. I'm not feeling any heat right here. Wow. It's definitely hot to the touch. Not like, oh my God, it's burning me. I'm not saying that, but you could feel the heat coming through. When you see those screen transitions and those diagonal like cuts, that's that screen tearing we're talking about. And it's just unfortunate because for this to be able to handle what it can handle for such a cheap price, I mean, if they could have, put in a little bit better of a screen, charge a couple dollars more, that would have been nice. Oh, wow, choppy chop. This game does have slowdown normally, but not like how it just chopped up. Well, let's switch to something else before we go. I give you my final verdict. And I'm sure you guys already know where this is heading. Neo Geo. Check out Samurai Shodown. This does take a moment to load. Oh. Wow. Well, I'm going to give you my final thoughts here. Neo Geo actually performs fairly well. The screen tearing issues, I've seen it in a few games on Neo Geo to a larger degree, like Samurai Shodown 4, the Metal Slugs and whatnot. Some of these games like Samurai Shodown 1 don't look too bad. They perform fairly well, so can't complain about that. These are available, like I said, for, I believe, 35 to 40 bucks. I think they increased the price a little bit after the pre-orders. Some people are going to love this thing. Some people are going to be like, I know there's better options out there. For me, I would much rather spend the extra money and get a GPI case and actually play all these games fairly perfectly. And, it's a bit more money for this. You do have to provide your own games just like you would have to with this if you want to fully customize it. But I find like this option has its flaws as well, but I prefer this over everything I've tested so far. And then in second place, I know that's not what this video is about. Oh man, I'm dropping shit left and right. The LDK game I really dig. I'm hoping to get my hands on the horizontal version. I haven't found one yet that ships in the States for a reasonable price, so I'm going to keep an eye out for that, but I definitely do like this device as well. Comes in second place to me for the GPI case. This definitely an improvement form factor wise with the LNR buttons. It feels good in the hands. It's not too big, not too little. You know what I'm saying? And it's not completely garbage or anything. It's just I can't deal with that screen tearing, the frame dropping, and those little things. Is it passable maybe for you for the price? For me, I would much prefer to spend a few bucks more and get something a little better. Like I said, the LDK game or the GPI case from Retro Flag. do it for me. So, hey, really do appreciate it. If you guys want to see any content concerning any of these other little handhelds that I haven't talked about yet on the channel, let me know. Actually, I don't even know how to get this thing working yet, but definitely let me know if you're interested in anything. Really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. With that said, I will catch you guys next time. Peace out. Bye-bye. And don't forget, follow me on Twitter because I will be giving away the other one of this that I get pretty soon. Link will be in the description if you want to purchase one of these as well. And I will catch you guys next time. Bye-bye. Boom. Thumbs up. Blurry thumb. Oh, yeah. Bye.